Hi, welcome to my studio. I am E.B. Hawks, the face behind Artful Pursuits, and it's a new year, so I've got some new projects on the horizon. And today what we are going to work on is going to be my new bullet art journal for the year, I think. So for this project I chose a new journal that I got for Christmas. Thank you very much, Mom. And this is the Delusions creative journal, and this is the square format. I've never worked in the square format, but I'm really excited about it. It is 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 on the inside. And one of the things that I really like about these journals is that it comes with this strap that holds it closed. When you open it up, it's got a pocket inside. Here, let me take out the packaging part. It has this pocket on the inside, so you can put your goodies in there that you might want to collage into your pages later. And then the paper that these books are made with are a mixed media paper that are strong enough to hold up to wet media, and a lot of sketchbooks are not. So you can paint, watercolor has gotten a little bit soggy once or twice in these journals, but acrylic is always fine. It takes it no problem. I've done all of the watercolor crayons, pencils, any of those types of media, water-soluble media, it's taken just fine. Watercolor was a little bit too much. You want a watercolor paper for that. All right, so brand new blank journal. I was going to work on page 1. So my opening page, I decided would say hello 2020. And what I did was I went into Photoshop and I created this, which is a little bit smaller than the actual page because I'm going to do it with a white border around. The fonts that I used here, this is a Bodoni poster. That's my favorite font for numbers. I just think those numbers are so gorgeous. And this font for hello here is a new free font that I got from Creative Marketplace called Barton Ink. I don't know if it's still free, but every week on Mondays, Creative Marketplace gives out free files. Free files. They give out 6 free files. And sometimes they're fonts, sometimes they're images, sometimes they're PowerPoint presentations. They give out all different things every week. So get on their mailing list and check that out so you can start getting those freebies because they're very helpful. All right. The last thing I was going to say, the color that I am going to try to emulate here is the color of the year, the Pantone Color of the Year Classic Blue. So I thought, all right, what better thing to use for the intro page than the color of the year? So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm not quite sure what colors of paint I'm going to use to create Classic Blue, but I'll let you know when I figure it out. See you in a minute. Okay, so I got out my Fiskars paper trimmer, total staple in my craft world, and I'm going to line up the edge of my design with the wire. Cut this thing out so that I have it to the right size. My kids love this paper trimmer too. They use it for like all of their class projects. Nobody knows how we ever lived without it. Okay, so I created this thing to be 7.5 by 7.5, I think. So I could measure it. This thing has a ruler on it. That's the beauty of it. Let's see, maybe I did, yeah, 7.5 by 7.5. Okay, so I am going to get some carbon paper and tape this down. Be right back. All right, so I grabbed this tape. This is an artist tape. And I grabbed it for 2 reasons. One, I really like the width of it. It's about 1/2 inch. And 2, artist tape is supposed to peel up easily. It's kind of like the blue masking tape that you use when you paint a room. But this is really old. I bought this roll in 2010 when I was in art school. We were required to have this tape. So it lasts forever if you don't use it very often. It's also not 100% necessary to use an artist tape. Like I said, it's supposed to peel up easier. It doesn't always anyway. And if you're like me, you have 6,000 rolls of washi tape that you don't know why you bought so many of. That would probably work just as well. The main goal here is to have the exact same width taped off from all edges. So if I go from edge in, then I should have a nice even border when I peel it up at the end of this painting process. All right, so now we got to figure out how to make classic blue. I grabbed a few colors of blue paint and white. So this one is a Dina Wakley paint called Lapis. I think this blue is really pretty, and it might, if I added white to it, get close to this classic blue. This is our goal color here. I also have a primary cyan. Like, what's more classic than a primary? So I feel like that might be the winner. We'll see. Obviously, I have to add white to that. And before I grabbed any paints out, I was thinking about this manganese blue, but I think it might be a little bit too teal. Anyway, we'll check it out. Got the titanium white to mix them with. Can't find my palette paper, but this is what I like to use as a palette anyway. It's an old dictionary, as it says. So the paper in here is yellowed, but not so frail that it just falls apart. So as you can see, what I do a lot of times is I just use it as my palette, and then later when I need some colored text, I just come in here and I rip out these pages and I collage with them. All right, so let's get mixing. All right, I grabbed a few brushes that I like. This is Simply Simmons 1 inch. This is also the Simply Simmons, I think, a little bit shorter than 1 inch, but this one is well loved and it generally cleans up really nicely. So I covered it with tape when I went to an art class to make sure that I came home with my brushes. This is another one I like a lot, which is the Dina Wakley brushes, and they are cool. And it's about 1 inch as well. And then this is just one cheap, I think, at Princeton. I'm pretty sure this came from Michael's in a big pack. Anyway, it's a little bit smaller than 1 inch. I'm just going with big wide brushes, flat brushes, because I'm going to basically paint this entire thing one color, I think. And I got a few because I'm going to be working with different colors and I don't want to mix them unintentionally. I want to mix them intentionally. I know it has to be mixed with white because all of these are too blue. They are not classic. Oh, so not classic. Okay, again, this is the primary. I should put these down. This is the manganese and this is the Dina Wakley. I can tell from the consistency of this that it is not a golden heavy body. Do you see how beautiful and creamy these are and how this is kind of like sludgy? It's still a good paint. I like her paints. I use them often. Why would I get the blue? Let's mix the white into the blue. Okay, this is our goal. Way too light. All right, let's put a lot more the original color back in. Well, that's actually getting there. I may have been on the nose with this one. So the Pantone said that classic blue is supposed to be evocative of like right when the sun goes down and it's dusk at night. You know, it's not pitch black out yet. It's that dark blue night. Hey, I'm impressed by this. All right, there's one brush. Let's use this one. Let's see if this one has any give right now. It does. Okay. This is the manganese. I think it's going to be too bright. Let's see. Oh, so pretty though. It's like an ocean. I love the color. This is not classic blue, but that is such a pretty blue. How could you not like it? You're not classic, but you're lovely. Okay, and let's try out lapis. I'm not even sure what lapis means. I should look that up. Wait, this is a totally different. This is more ultramarine-ish, I believe. in between there. Should I mix these two together? You know what my sister says? If you think it, you should do it. All right. And see, I knew there was a reason to get out 4 brushes. Let's see if I mix them together. Holy classic blue, that's amazing. Look at that, a little dark. Okay. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We've got this worked out now. And I've got a lot of paint here and I hate wasting paint above all else. So I am going to use like a cross-hatching type application. Super technical. Only people who go to art school can do this. X's. We are making big X's. Okay, and we like these colors together to mix them while they're wet and they should blend. Unless they defy all the laws of paint. Please don't defy the laws of paint. Okay, put some of this in there. Now it does dry fast because this is acrylic and acrylic dries fast. If you want to extend the drying or the wet time, I guess, not the drying time, of your acrylics, you can use a couple of different mediums. One is called open medium, which opens the paint up and leaves it wet for longer. Don't mess up my perfect edge, you. And another thing that I've used is not what it's intended for as far as I can tell, but it works, is GAC. G-A-C. I use GAC 100. Now there's GAC 100 up through like 800. And I gotta be honest with you, I'm not really sure what the difference is in each of the hundreds. Okay, well, my classic blue is a little bright. Maybe I'll add some white in. All right, let's see how I did. Not bad. Not dead on, but not bad. All right, I gotta let this dry, and then we will start phase 2. Put your brushes in water. Don't want this stuff hardening. What am I gonna do with this? Maybe this should be page 2 of my journal. Or not page 2, because page 2 is taped on. Okay, we're putting this color. I just hate to waste paint. Odd for me. Okay, so you know what? This page is going to be lovely manganese white blue. We are back. It's mostly dry, and I can tell that because of the way the paper curled. It was extremely curled up a few minutes ago, and now it's starting to flatten back out. Paper curls when it gets wet on one side, then the fibers expand, and then as it dries, they contract again and it flattens back out. So in the end, it will be flat. I have decided that it would be too boring if all I had on here was some letters. So I am going to add a few stencils. A few? I was thinking 1, and then I said a few. Let's see. Okay, this is my stencil binder. Please don't knock paint water over. And I have a few stencils, as you can see. These are new. I could use a new one. That's kind of cool. All right, but I'm thinking something just like polka dot. You know what? I'm probably gonna do my go-to stencil, which is, I love text. I normally use a lot of text, but since this is already gonna have text on it, I don't wanna do that. So I'm gonna grab something kind of like this that has a small pattern because it's small. It's kind of cool. It's small to begin with. I'm gonna pull that one out in case I decide that's the one I want. But I'm thinking I want the corn cob. I have a corn cob stencil. I think that's what it's called. Love birds, 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 birds. Oh, that one's cool too. Okay. This one. Okay, it's Acacia Avery stencil. Anyway, this is the one I'm thinking I might use because it's one of my go-tos. And this is just a standard binder, and I just put page protectors in it and slide my stencils in for ease of storage and flippage. Flippage is an official word. Okay. Well, I said a few, so maybe I'll use them both. Now, I think I'm going to go tone on tone. So I'm going to go back to my primary cyan and add that. All right, so these are used, you can tell that. And they get hard when they're used, like if you left paint on your paintbrush, it would be hard, right? And unusable. This one stayed soft, that's weird. But you can cut them down and keep using them until they run out of sponge. So, there you go. Fresh, fresh. Okay, so I have to let this dry and then we will transfer the typography on top. So the way that I like to transfer typography or images sometimes that I manipulate digitally is using a transfer paper. And there are several kinds of transfer paper. There's graphite, which, as the name implies, comes off like pencil lines. And sometimes this is really cool just to use for mark making on a random piece. It looks like this. It's got different colors. You put the dark side down. So for example, we would put that down and then we leave this up so you can see it. It's reusable. So I keep all these little scraps because you can use it again and again and again and again. All right, so let's check and we'll see if graphite will work. I think that because we have a dark background, this graphite is going to be too hard to see. Well, what I'm gonna do is trace along the edge of each piece of the design. We'll check it. Well, actually you can see it. I did not think that was going to work, but it did. Happy accidents. Okay, so try not to move it. If it works, then you keep tracing all the way around the design. So I kind of screwed that up just now, but that's okay because I'm going to be covering these lines with paint. So right now I think I'm done, but I'm going to hold it in the middle and I'm going to peel back and kind of take a look and see, yes, I can see that too, and I can see that too, and I can see that 0. I'm going to go ahead and transfer hello too. All right, I think we're good. I'm gonna hold it down. I'm gonna check one more time. Yeah, hello transferred. 2020 transferred. Okay, cool. That worked way better than I thought. Had that not worked, I also have a white transfer paper, which does the exact same thing, but it transfers white lines instead of graphite lines. And I also have, because I'm a product hoarder, black carbon paper. And this is what they used to use in the typewriters in the olden days. This comes out really dark, which is great sometimes when really dark is what you need. All right, so my first thought is I'm going to trace and maybe fill in the whole design with these white Posca pens. And these markers are filled with white acrylic paint. I don't know that it's going to be opaque enough to cover fully, and I don't know that I want it to. So anyway, it's going to be our first attempt. I have 2 different sizes. This one is 0.9 to 1.3 millimeters, and this one says 1.8 to 2.5. So I'm going to trace with the smaller one and then fill in with the fatter one and see how it goes. So if you've never used one of these paint pens, any brand kind of works this way. You shake it up, and then, Yeah, well, good thing that fell in the right spot. If it's not working, which it is, then you depress the tip. This one will not be working because it's brand new. So I'll show you that in a minute. Okay. I'm not sure I'm going to do that hello in white yet. So like I said, this pen is not working yet because it's brand new. I just unwrapped it. It's not smart to shake it without the lid on. Otherwise, these things happen. All right. So you shake it up and then you say, oh, it's writing. Well, sometimes it doesn't write. When it doesn't write, the pen tip depresses and you can bounce it up and down and you'll see that the paint come right out of the pen into a little pool there. And sometimes it'll even stop, like when you're, like I'm gonna color for a little while here. If I'm coloring and it kind of runs out of paint, then I might have to bounce it up and down to get it to flow again. But this is a nice way. I mean, I could do this with a paintbrush and white paint, right? There's no difference actually. This is just acrylic, it's just white paint. But this is a way to control it in a tighter way, which sometimes you want, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want loose. And I'm gonna go ahead and say paint markers are not great for loose, but a brush is. In this instance, my desired effect is a controlled, clean line. All right, it's time for one of the most satisfying parts of the process. Hopefully. Sometimes it's the most heartbreaking. Fingers crossed. All right, so there we go. Hello, 2020. Hello, new art journal. Hello, bullet journaling for the year. So a couple of days later, I ended up adding some washi tape around the border of the page, and it seemed to really give it the finishing touch it was missing. So come on over to the blog at artfulpursuits.com and see how the rest of the journal is shaping up, including the little birdie atop the light blue page you saw me painting. Thanks for creating with me today. Like and subscribe for more art journal inspiration. See you soon.